Hey, good morning everyone. John Martinez here, Midwest Revenue Group and the REI Sales Academy. So got some people filtering in. We are right at 10 o'clock Central, getting close to lunchtime on the East Coast and bright and early on the West Coast. So thank you everyone for joining us. Looks like we are, everyone waited right till the end of the wire to hop on here, and that's okay. So we're going to get going today. We're going to do something a little different. I've got two classes prepared today, and I'm going to let you guys decide which one you want. So first thing I have for you is a question. And I'll ask this a couple times as people filter in, but so we've got two possible classes today. One class is going to be some extras, right? Some advanced techniques. So assumptive questioning. We could go into body language on appointments, stuff like that. How to show the right body language, how to read body language, those types of things. The other option number two, is I went on a seller call on Saturday morning. Met with someone trying to sell their house, and used a lot of the techniques obviously that we teach. So the other option would be listening to that sales call. I put a recorder on my phone, so it's not the best quality, but I said, you know what, I'm just going to hit record, and we'll see what happens here. So option number one is going to be going over some extra tactics, techniques. Option number two is going to be listening to a sales call. Warn you, the audio is not the best, but we could do whatever you like. So guys, let me know what you want. Type it in the questions box. All right, so it's unanimous so far. Live sales call. We will get to everything no matter what. Jessica asked the advanced techniques. Can you share those? So yeah, we can either do it on another call, or I've got that training recorded that I've done with other sessions with other classes, other rounds. And yeah, we could do both. So the call might take up the whole hour, especially if we pause and point out certain things. I'll make sure we get to everything no matter what. But as far as today goes, what do you guys want to do? Here's some of this in action, or go over some body language, assumptive questioning, that type of stuff. Okay. Okay, live sales call. It is then pretty overwhelming response there for the live sales call. So that's what we're going to hit first. So we will go ahead and do that. Let me cue it up and get things ready. As we do that, I do want to go over one more thing with you guys real quick. And here it is. So we have changed our online portal. I'll bring this up. I'm going to take 2 minutes to run through it real quick, because usually about half the people who go through our training continue on with the training. They go through the same stuff again. Either they're hiring new people, just want you get better the more you hear it, right? One time is good, but a lot of people like the repetition for their salespeople. Sometimes you have turnover, so there's new salespeople to train, or you're just growing, so you're hiring new salespeople. So I want to show you real quick the new portal for anyone who just decides to continue with us. For those who decide to continue with us, we drop the price for you and try to make it easy, but no pressure. You'll get an email about it sometime, or maybe even not. Just reach out to me if it's something you want. We kick this off the week after this training ends. But here's the portal. Okay, all the lessons are right here. Every lesson we go through. Something you didn't have that we've added are quizzes. So let's take a look. So week 2, or lesson number 2. You can go in and take a quiz, so you can check your understanding, or if you have salespeople, make sure they're going through everything and check their understanding. Okay. The other things we have are some extra videos that we've added in. So, for example, in Motivation and Urgency, a video from Antonio Damasio on decision making, neuroeconomics, some of the studies he's done. So all of these have the videos. You watch, it has some extra videos, they have quizzes. We've added some extra stuff beyond that. Your resources section. We've got a whole session of previously recorded sales training. So another group we recorded all of their live webinars too. So you've got the initial videos, the live webinars, lessons for sales managers, motivating a sales team, becoming a great sales manager, recruiting, ramp up, managing sales performance, improving sales performance through coaching, and then some sales accountability tools. And then we've got a thing on your mindset. So changing non-supportive buy cycles, money issues, improving your mental game, overcoming your fear of cold calling, setting goals, overcoming high need for approval, the tendency to get emotionally involved, getting unstuck, forming new habits, overcoming the enemy within, REI sales calls. We've got about 5 lessons there, some script basics, stuff like that. And then a couple of actual REI on-site sales call recordings. So that's what we've definitely beefed this thing up for anyone who's interested. Up to you, no big deal either way. As far as the events go, this is what they look like, the live weekly calls. These are a little different too. If we go in here, we can see, you can see the slides. Let this boot up real quick. So you get the slide deck with everyone. You can go through the slides at any time, backwards and forwards. The calls are recorded, so you can hit play and see the recorded calls. So basically everything's just in one spot. So that's all I'm going to say about that. That's the continuation. That's our new portal that we built. So very proud of it. If anyone wants to continue on, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be moving to that format instead of the GoToWebinar and the Dropbox and all that junk that's kind of in different pieces. Okay, it's going to be one platform. So off of that, on to what we're here for. Let's get into this call. Let me slide through a couple of these slides here. And here we go. So here's my disclaimer, okay? So in my opinion, this is not, what I consider just a perfect, great, fantastic sales call. But it is taking the training into the real world, and that's how we learn best. So we're always super critical of ourselves, right? So as I listen to this call, there's probably a dozen or so things where I said, oh, I could have done that better, did that a different way, rephrased that, used a different technique. So my calls aren't 100% perfect. Your calls won't be 100% perfect, but that's okay. This should also give you permission to not be perfect, right? It's okay to mess up every now and then. Remember, learning and growing is about being vulnerable, making mistakes, pushing forward. So hopefully I serve as an example to you, right? Most of the time, if people don't use these techniques, it's simply because they're scared they're going to mess up. Don't be worried. We're all going to mess up. No one will ever have a perfect sales call. It's very rare when we sit back and we re-listen to them. So don't worry about that. Here's what we'll hear and we'll want to watch out for during the sales call. So as I play this, guys, if you hear examples of things we've learned in training, if you have any comments, any questions, we'll pause it. Just go ahead and use that questions box. Shoot out any question, any comment, anything at all you want, okay? But here's what we're looking for. I'm going to use end the call to start the call. We learned about that in overcoming resistance. Going negative, that was in the overcoming resistance. You'll hear some clarifying statements, some Socratic questions. That was in advanced listening and questioning. A ton of softening statements. I mean, I would say between 50 and 100 of those. That we covered in the diagnosis and also, again, in advanced listening and questioning. I'm going to go ahead and use some takeaways when I ask questions. There's going to be a lot of problem impact picture perfect questions. We learned about that in the diagnosis. We're going to help the prospect overcome their own objections. We learned about how to do that in the investment and decision lessons. And then the close. I told you at the beginning of this, I've used one close for probably the last 1 or 2 decades. It's not pushy. It's extremely simple. When you go through the sales process the right way, the close is as simple as what would you like me to do? And the prospect closes themselves. So those are all the things that we are listening for, okay? Are you guys ready to go? You ready to hop in here? All right. So we'll get the audio dialed in. Like I said, forgive me for the quality of the audio, but I literally had a phone in my pocket that I hit record on that recorded the entire call. So pulling up my notes, pulling up the call, and we are ready to go. So it's about an hour, 90-minute call. We're ready to go. I'm going to start. I'm going to skip around a bit in it. because we don't obviously have the whole 90 minutes to go through it. So I'm going to try to hit all the high points and the important parts. I'm going to start with in 15 minutes, 48 seconds into the call. So this is after I walked up to the door and I did a quick tour of the house, right? Just building rapport during the tour of the house. She's talking about it. I'm using a lot of softening statements, simple stuff. So at 15:48, we sit down on the couch and we start talking about really what she's trying to get out of this thing. So let's go ahead and get moving. Guys, let me know if you have trouble hearing. It will be a little muffled at first. It does get better as time goes on because I believe I take the phone out of my pocket. Here we go. So, what are you hoping I can do for you today? Do you just tell me a little bit about where you're going? I asked this, we have all kinds of ways to structure offers. So it really depends on what you're trying to get out of this, where you're trying to go.
My goal is, I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, basically.
My goal is to get out from under the house so that I don't have to, I can't do maintenance, obviously.
Yeah.
I can't mow because I have massive allergies. I'm on all kinds of allergy medicine and EpiPen and asthma medication, so I can't mow. So I get out from under the lawn care and the house care because I can't fix anything. I try as best as I can.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to be responsible anymore.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being responsible for everything. So I have been being informed for a while. And eventually I'll build my own little house. I've already got the house plans. I just gotta have somebody throw them up. I got a nephew that can do that.
Okay, so far, that's just a very initial problem question. What are you hoping I can do for you here? Motivation-wise, what did you guys hear? And we will want to do this real quick so we can move quickly through the call, but I want to pause and on problem questions, impact questions. I couldn't hear the audio well, is what I'm hearing. Very high motivation, she doesn't want to take care of the house anymore, maintenance issues, can't care for the, okay, perfect. So that was initial motivation. Now remember, when we did our course on advanced listening and questioning, one of the things I told you is the initial problem they bring you is usually never the real problem. The questions they ask are usually never the real questions. We're always looking for what's behind it, what's the intent. So seems high motivation at this point. Seems that she can't get around and maintain the house anymore, but you'll see things change as the call gets deeper and deeper. So let's continue.
Engineer, so
how long have you been thinking about getting out of here? Is it just with the...
No, about 4 or 5 years.
Oh, really?
Once the girls moved out, Kelsey's 22, so I guess, well, yeah, when I went to start to put it on the market before, when I did, I put it on for 6 months and took it off only because my kids all wanted to move back in.
What did you have it listed for?
69.5, I believe.
So here we go. Thinking about moving for 4 or 5 years. Had it listed once before for $69,500. I know going into this thing that my price is $40,000. The ARV in that area is closer to 85, maybe even pushing 90, depending on what we put into the property. So I know I'm going to have to right off the bat reset her expectations from that 69 down to 40. Let's fast forward about 2 minutes to 17 minutes and 50 seconds and see where that goes. We're going to get a little deeper into motivation.
401k loans so that I can put that money back into a parking money.
Yeah.
And so that I can have my monthly income back, so I'm not paying out the monthly income for that. And then hopefully pay my medical bills and be done.
Is that a lot of money or a little bit of money?
About $17,000 in medical bills.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
I only have one credit card with $1,300.
So the last 3 minutes, basically, I just let her talk. Just as you heard 1 or 2 softening statements right there. Really, that much, that type of stuff. As we got about 3 minutes deeper into the conversation, she brings up another pain point. Medical bills, I owe about 17 grand. Oh, by the way, I have a 401k loan. So we're going to see where that leads us to any real pain or not. So right now, still on the problem questions. Why am I here? Well, maintenance. Tell me about that. let her talk. The more she talks, all I'm doing for this 5-minute period is softening statements. Really, what else? How long has that been an issue? What have you done to try to fix it? And I'm just trying to flush out all the problems here. So I'm still on that problem stage of the diagnosis. So far, maintenance, 401k, loans, she's taking money out of it, and $17,000 in medical bills. So let's keep going and see where this thing goes.
Dollars that I owe on, and everything else is, I'm leasing the car because he wrecked my 2000. I just bought a $2,000 car and it was worth $4,500.
Yeah.
And he told me he had insurance. My fiance had cards in his wallet, so I believed him, and he drove my car, and I just got the tag, but I had to pay insurance on it. Because he said he was going to get his insurance switched from his car to mine, and he could get it cheaper because he had had no wrecks and all this, and then he wrecked my car. And so I'm out a $2,000 car, so I'm leasing a vehicle.
Okay, yeah, that Chevy outside?
Yeah.
I like those.
I couldn't afford to get in. I couldn't afford to go buy another vehicle. I couldn't afford another 401k.
Yeah.
So I'm just continuing on, right? Problem questions. We haven't got to impact yet. I'm just uncovering all the problems, letting her talk, just a lot of softening statements. Yeah, right? You're kidding me. Oh, that car outside, I like it, right? Just building rapport, flushing out all the problems, because I know at some point I've got to get the emotional level high. I got to get that pain high so we can get the price we want. We want to reframe this prospect to not think about money, to just think about here's the problems, here's what they feel like, and I don't want to feel that anymore. That's where we're going to have to get to. This is the beginning of it. I'm going to skip to 21 minutes and 30 seconds in. This is where we get to, through all these calculations, she's talked about she owes $23,000 on the house, she owes $17,000 on the 401k, she owes, I don't know, $13,000 or so in medical bills. So I start doing the math, and we're going to start reframing here. Here we go.
For you to get everything paid off and then where you want to be, that's about 55 grand, 23 for the house, 32 and 15 for 401k, 17 for medical bills. Here's what I look at. When we pull comps, we look at what houses around here are selling for. Do you have any idea what they're selling for?
Most of them 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, 2-bath, which this is only a 1-bath, are running about 80s, 70s, and 80s. But I figure with a 1-bath, it's more like in the 70 to lower 70 to 75.
So her expectations for the houses around there, and remember we've used that question during the phone calls too. So what are houses going for around here? I want to figure out where her mind is, right? She said 70 to 80 before. She said she had it listed for 69 a few years back. So let's see where we're starting from. She said 70 to 75 for hers is the expectation. So the first thing I know I need to do is I'm going to need to reset. We're going to need to use a price anchor. We talk about that in negotiating when we get there. But basically, her expectation is 70, 75. I know I need to come in at 40, so I know I need to drastically lower that expectation. If I say 40 and she's thinking 75, that 40 is going to seem really, really low. But if I reset expectation for 25 or 30 or a lower number, when I say 40, 40 is going to seem like a better offer. We'll cover that in depth when we get to negotiating. But I know I need to reset, that's what we call a price anchor, and I'm going to have to go much lower because that expectation is way, way, way too high. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and reset that price anchor with her.
Yeah. Here's one. You're right on the money. Yeah, 3-bedroom, 1-bath here, 69.9. So you're real close on that. What was the address on that?
Okay, that is south of the home. Okay, it's right up there on the corner.
And so that was in
3-bedroom, 1-bath.
Yeah. So those are the numbers.
It needs some help too. It's like mine. It needs some. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know which house this is.
Okay. So you're right on the money with those numbers. There's quite a spread. South Crutcher, where's that at?
Over by Winston.
Okay.
And Page, Cherry.
Okay. This one needed a lot of work. I sold for 40, I think, or 33, 37, I can't remember.
So here's what's happening right here. So what I want to do is reset that price expectation. So I brought my low comp, right? And I'm showing her a low comp. It's for 33,000, okay? But I don't want to tell her it's for 33,000. I hand it to her and I make her figure it out and say it. I don't want to tell her what houses are worth. I'm going to let her tell me. Now, we're resetting expectations here. I'm going to use this to again reset that price anchor, and then I'm going to go hard for a no. So you guys heard me talking about going negative a lot, and I got a lot of pushback, right? I'm going to use a technique here called ending the call to start the call. I know I've got a long way to go, so I'm going to tell her right off the bat, listen, here's a $33,000 comp. I'm probably going to be 25 to 30,000. I could tell you this early into the call. There's nothing I can do for you. That right there is going to reset price expectation, and I'm going to go hard for the no right from the beginning, 23 minutes into it. That's where the sale really starts, is I'm going to start from the position of a no. If you read Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference, he's an expert negotiator for the FBI. He always likes to start from the no. It's really powerful. So this is what I'm setting up here. Low comp, reset price expectations, tell her I can't do it. She wants too much for the house, and then I'm going to start selling.
Have you seen that one? Do you know it?
So let me fast forward 1 minute to get to that part. Here we go.
And then I have somebody else that, like I said, that one guy that
Yeah.
didn't think he could get me 59. Because I was like,
Yeah. I mean,
59.
absolutely. If someone gives you that much, I would absolutely take it. Yeah, because just based on what houses are, you know, we don't look at what they're listed at. We look at what they actually sell for. And when we average it all out, it's around that 60, 65 range. We want to get as much as we could as possible, so we put a ton of money into it and make it the nicest. I mean, it's a great neighborhood, right? So we're looking for houses just like this that need a little bit of love and attention in a great neighborhood, make it the nicest in the neighborhood, and then we can fetch top dollar. But I'm struggling to figure out how I can get you what you need out of it. I mean, you probably want 70 or so out of it, right?
No, I don't. No, I figured I'd probably take 50.
Okay. Yeah, I would too.
You know, I could still cope with 50.
Yeah.
To get the thing.
Well, that would almost pay everything.
401k and at least 4 months.
All right, so I want to walk you through what just happened there. So we showed the low comp. See how powerful that was? She just went from 59 to 50. So you'll hear me throughout this call test. And when I'm testing price, I use the takeaway, right? So you're probably wanting 70. No, you know, I'd probably take 50. So I know there's a little bit of leeway. I know it's negotiable. She's already dropped $9,000. She had an expectation of 70 to 75. She told me she had an offer of 59 and would want at least that. Now, you know, you probably want 70 for it. After I showed her the low comp, she's down to 50. So we're making a little bit of leeway, but there's a lot more work to do. I'm going to have to get her to a real emotional level for her to take my deal at 40. And I'm going to have to also have her toss out those other higher offers. I need to get her in such a high state of pain that she just wants the pain to go away. So that's really what I consider selling. Right now, we're just still warming up, right? We're just setting the stage. So let's continue with that, and I'm going to disqualify myself and tell her where I'm at.
Yeah, so about 50K. I'm trying to figure. So I'll just walk you through my world a little bit. So that's not going to work for me. I couldn't make money on it. I'd lose money on it. But there's others. I know a lot of the local investors who pay cash for houses. What I could do is just kind of put it out there and see if anyone's willing to pay more, and then if I find someone, get them in touch with you.
Okay.
Different people pay different amounts for it, obviously, because.
Well, and they were talking to this guy. The only reason he was thinking about that was because they do lease to purchase.
Yeah.
And so.
So at this point, I've told her I'm at 25 or 30,000. I'm telling her, you know, I can try to get you in touch with other people. what I'm doing for the next few minutes is just struggling. I'm trying to figure, and I'll see if I could find a place in the tape where I go through that, but here's what's going on. I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out how to help you. I'm at 25 to 30K, so there's obviously nothing I can do. Maybe I can put you in touch with somebody. I'm ending the call to start the call. I'm going to make sure we put all our defenses down and I can have the right conversation with her. So that's what happens for the next minute or so. Let's see if I could actually find where I use those words. And I'm going to visibly struggle, right? I'm trying to help you out. I can't figure out how to make this work. The message I want to convey is that we're on the same side. What you'll see is there's never going to be a me against her. It's going to be, here's the problem. You want 50 for your house. I can't do it. What can we do to help you out? How can we solve this problem? Let's put our heads together.
You could get better offers. What else can I do?
My worry is, as I put in, like I said, and that's where I put in $2 grand into it.
Yeah.
Back 2 years ago, just put it on the market and it's in perfect condition. And now I don't have $2 grand to go painting and doing everything again and all that, and so that somebody could come in and, you know, and not get any more for it.
Right.
You know, so it's like,
No, I wouldn't put any.
That's my problem with
Right,
it was ready. And you know, we can get this movie ready.
Yeah.
Except for the exterior.
Yeah.
So that was definitely ready for the exterior.
I mean, it's nice. I like the floors. We'd probably keep the wood floors. Those are, you don't see these older floors, these nice wooden floors like this very often.
So I continue to struggle. I've already disqualified myself. We're trying to figure out how to help her. Soon I'm going to get into the problem, impact, picture perfect questions, and we'll get this thing ready to roll. So here's my first impact question. Okay. So let me recap the appointment so far. Walk through. What are your expectations? Okay, these are your expectations. First off, I'm going to tell you I can't even come close. I want to reset what she thinks what it's worth. I'm at 25 to 30. Your bottom dollar is 50 at this point. So what else can we do to get you where you need to go? And that's where we're at this point. So now we're going into problem, impact, picture, perfect questions. Now we're going to get her to that high emotional state and we're going to sell this thing. Here's the first impact question.
Yes. Yeah. So, if I can't find you a buyer, what are you going to do with the place?
Probably, like I said,
Stick it out a bit?
just stick it, say, for sale by owner, and
Yeah.
here's the amount of dollars, and whatever you don't.
Yeah.
Like I said, some family might need it, want it, whatever.
Right. If you run into it, I mean.
The other problem is they're not going to be able to get an FHA loan or something like that because of the limits inside.
So we're talking through her options. So I'm going to make her think all the way through this at this point. So my question was, if I can't find a buyer for you, what are you going to do with the place? Well, I'm going to for sale it by owner and just say, hey, this is my rock bottom price. And then she starts thinking more, but they won't be able to get an FHA loan because the siding's bad, it needs new windows. So she already starts to disqualify that as an option for her. I want to walk her through some of her options and help her disqualify them. I'm never going to tell her that's not an option. Through my questions, we get her there all by herself. So what are you going to do if I can't buy the place or I can't find you a buyer? What are you going to do? So that's where we're at there. I'm going to let her struggle a little bit more. I'm going to struggle a little bit more. We're going to try to solve this problem.
Yeah. I mean, that would be one of our biggest expenses. Yeah. I mean, windows are, you're talking $5,000 or so, and the siding's not too bad, $5 or $10,000, but that's how it adds up to about $40,000 really quick. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I was thinking. If I could get it around 30, I could put in 40, bring it to 70, and then cross my fingers and hope I could get 75 to 79 out of it. And, but then even then you've got realtors fees, you've got the closing costs. So that's why I'm struggling with the numbers. It's rough for me, but I want to help you out.
Okay, we're going to jump a little bit into I'm going to try to get her nice and revved up, so we're going to jump a little bit into picture perfect here. The question I'm going to ask is, let me ask you this. If you get what you need, when do you want to move? Here's what you're going to hear over and over again. I'm going to talk about pain, right? What's this property doing to you now? And then I'm going to go to a picture perfect. What's a perfect situation like? And then I'm going to do that back and forth until she really understands where she's at on an emotional level now, where she wants to be, what that's going to feel like, and that blaring gap in between. So that's what we're going to hear for the rest of the call is I'm going to jump impact. Okay, this sucks. Well, tell me about picture perfect. That would be so nice if I could do this. And as I do that, as I take her down that diagnostic drill over and over again, I'm going to keep testing the money. I'm going to keep tossing out numbers and see when she gets down to 40. So you'll hear all that. That's where we're going next. This is really the meat of the call. This is really where the selling's done. So you've heard one impact question. Hey, what are you going to do if you can't sell it? I make her explain that to me. And now I'm going to use a picture perfect question. So let's jump on that.
Probably like six.
Stick it out a bit.
Just stick it, say for sale by owner, and
Yeah.
here's the front bottom dollar, and you want it or you don't.
Yeah.
Like you said, some family might need it, want it, whatever.
Right. If you run into it, I mean.
The other problem is they're not going to be able to, I can't. And the boys have ruined my furniture, so I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
my
buying a
youngest-
new couch and a new.
Sorry, guys, my numbers are off, so I missed that question. It wasn't the question I thought was going to come up, but we'll keep listening.
a new chair and be done with it.
I hear you.
I'll just sell what like I said, sell what I can
Yeah, no problem.
and
Well,
get it out.
I can't get you 50. I might be able to get you 40. I know I could pay 30, but that's not going to even come close to cutting it.
Yeah.
Might be able to get you 40. If someone offers 40, is that even in the ballpark, or is that still just? And it's okay if it's out of the ballpark. I just want to know.
I'm afraid I'm
Not going to get you
it's
there.
not going to get me where
Yeah.
I need to be. I need to at least pay the house and the 401k.
Yeah,
And that's,
a lot of money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I need to forget my monthly income. And like I said, it's because of.
Is the house expensive, or is it? I mean,
So I tested 40 right there. I did one impact, one picture perfect question. Obviously, she's not to that emotional stage yet, so I'm testing money again. Well, if I get an offer of 40, is that even worth considering? And yes is good, no is okay too. It's okay if it's not. No, it's not. 40 will not cut it. I need at least 50 to pay off my stuff. That's not going to get me where I want to go. So I'm going to keep
I think the
going.
monthly's not too bad.
No, I'm up to $575 because
Yeah.
of the insurance line was so high. The insurance went up drastically last year.
Really?
And, yeah, and I haven't ever had a claim but one roof claim. And one
Oh, yeah.
a long time ago, and that was it. I've not had but 2 claims in 23 years. And,
Yeah, but once you do,
but that's it. I mean, I literally have had nothing else, and haven't had in 8 years.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't had a claim in 8 years, and all of a sudden the insurance jumped. And I mean, American Family did it with my life insurance and the house insurance and everything.
So I'm going to just let the call play out from here so you can hear every word and how we go back and forth and get that pain stirred up. So now I'm just back using softening statements, letting her talk. You're gonna hear impact, picture perfect, test the money, impact, picture perfect, test the money until I know we get low enough.
Like, whoa. So,
I mean, it's not about house though. If you had to stick out 1 or 2 more years here, I mean, is that something you do if you had to do it?
So there we go. There's my next impact question. Hey, it's not a bad house. If you had to stick out 1 or 2 more years, you could do that, right?
Okay, good, good.
But I need to get that 401k money. I need to get freed up on the 401k money because I thought I was going to have I was going to have a spouse to help pay the monthly bills.
Yeah,
And so that's why I took out the lease
yeah.
on the car. I have the lease on the car. I have this.
So are you paying on the 401k now?
I have to, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
I don't know how those-
$100 a month for my 401k month.
You're kidding me.
Because I took
That's
out
like
the
2
loan for that
houses.
car. I know. like I said, I'm too giving to my family, to my
Yeah.
kids, and then putting money into here at different times, and it just, it's like added up, and it's like, okay.
So realize where we are. So that was one simple impact question, then a lot of softening statements, right? So the impact question was, if you got to stay here 1 or 2 more years, you can do that, right? I want her to think about what it's like staying there and how that's going to impact her. So she goes, first answer was, yeah, well, no, I got to get the 401k paid off. And I got to do this and that. So I'm just going to let her keep going and building the pain.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
So yeah, it's
That insurance on the house is nothing compared to that 401k loan.
and so I'm paying $575 a month for here, and along with the 401k loan, along with the car at $330, plus my car insurance, plus health insurance and life insurance and all that. And I'm going, okay, I can't meet my monthly bills
Yeah.
if I don't get out from under this. The only way to do that is to sell the house.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the best offer I could probably make would be basically pay off your house, pay off your 401k, and maybe give you $1,000 or so you could pack up and move. So I'm guessing that would be low 40s. That would have to be, if I made an offer that high, it'd have to be contingent to my business partner running the numbers to make sure we could actually make that work. It won't get you where you wanted to go, but it would get the house off your back, get the 401k off your back, and give you some money to get the duplex. That's the best I can do. I want to put my best foot forward, and that being said, that would have to be contingent on my partner taking a look at the pictures I snapped and making sure we could pull out, because that, on our side, that's cutting it really close. We would really have to make sure we got top dollar for this place.
The portraits, they were getting ivory rippy, and that they weren't as bad as the porch went. I replaced the front porch steps,
Yeah.
and when I did, I couldn't put the
Railings back up.
railings back on properly because I was doing it myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Well, you're braver than I am. I don't.
The steps are great, but the railings are.
My wife no longer lets me do anything around the house because I've tried all those projects and they just turn out so terrible. I mean, I'm not a handyman.
Well, my nephew-in-law built that porch, and it was supposed to be a porch, not a deck on the front of my house.
Yeah.
And that's what we built, a deck on the front of the house. And I was like, okay, just make it look a little bit more like a trailer anyway.
No, I thought it looked nice out front.
It just isn't, like I said.
I love the neighborhood. It's a good older neighborhood, lots of mature trees. I bet you this is.
Bush is new out there. The trees, we used to have 2 trees out there, and they got came down due to high power winds that come through Cherry Street.
Okay.
Along this way. A lot of Walnut Street and Cherry Street, the big trees are like that one right there.
Okay.
The wind will take something, and high-powered winds have taken those 2 trees out.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Okay.
So,
Well, I want to put my best foot forward. That's kind of where we're going to end up.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't understand the costs and costs of those. But if I had taken the 44 that the other guy had offered,
Right.
I would have been paying out of that 44. Am I correct? That out of that 44,000 would have come fees.
Yeah. You'd have, you'd have.
Like my 6% realtor fee.
I mean, if there's realtors involved, then you've got your commissions of 6%. Usually, when you look at closing costs, it's close to 8 to 10%, depending on where it is, 8 to 10% of the sale price. When the insurance work that the title company does.
So she's walking through. I can tell here she's trying to convince herself to get down to my number. So she's going through closing costs and things like that. But I'm not going to let her go there. I'm going to tell her, but my offer is not good enough. I'm going to continue going negative and tell her I can't help her.
Title. We take care of all that stuff, and a $40,000 offer from us is a $40,000 offer. But again, I'm not sure that gets you where it wouldn't pay off your medical bills.
I'm already being garnished for that, because I couldn't come up with enough medical payment for them.
Yeah.
I tried to come up with enough medical payment, but they were like, we can't do anything without anything. I'm like, yeah, we can.
So at this point, rapport is good. We're getting into some impact, but I got to go much deeper. I know in order to get her where I want to go, I need to get to a really emotional place, and I'm not there yet. So what I'll try to do next is do another picture-perfect question. So we went through medical bills. She keeps talking herself through it. I'm letting her go deeper and deeper just by using softening statements, slowly chipping away at this thing. I'm going to throw out another picture-perfect question.
Said and done, whoever you sell to, you're going to be able to pay off the house, have that monkey off your back. You're going to be able to pay off the 401k and have that monkey off your back.
I can handle the garnish.
Yeah.
And I can handle the monthly bills. That's my math.
So what I did is I'm helping her paint that perfect picture scenario. I said, whoever buys this house, if you get what you want for it, you're going to be able to pay some of that stuff off and at least have that monkey off, some of that monkey off your back.
I think that if I add them all up and what I make, I think I can, if I can just get rid of 401k loans, I think I can handle because the garnishment is $231
Okay.
each paycheck, so that's $462.
Oh, that much a month?
Especially when you're gross, and I don't have any children anymore, so I can't do 10%. It's just 25% of your pay.
I didn't know they could even do
I
that.
can do 25% of your pay. Up to a certain
Yeah.
amount, and it's 30 times the hourly wage, the minimum wage or something. So there is a limit that they can do, but yeah. And so now, and that just started in December. And like I said, my fiance had.
So 44 minutes into it, this is face to face. So 44 minutes into it, early on I told her there's nothing I could do. I reset expectation, kind of talking about impact, picture perfect, but we haven't got there yet. She's not hit that point yet, and I could tell. So I just ask an impact, let it go on for a few minutes, just using softening statements. Try to ask a picture perfect, let that go on for a few minutes. Ask an impact, let that go on for a few minutes. But I haven't got her there yet. We're going to get her there in the next 15 seconds or though. So what I'm going to do next is, again, go negative. I'm going to tell her, basically, at this point, she's told me about, she's a cancer survivor. She, as I was walking in, basically a few minutes before I walked in, she had just kicked out her fiance, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I know she's not yet at that emotional point where she's ready to move. I got to get her to the decision where staying here sucks so bad, I don't want to feel this anymore. So screw the money. I just want this off my back. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. So I need her to understand where she's at and where the emotional impact is. I need her to understand the alternative. If I help her get out of this house, what's her life going to look and feel like there? And only then, when she sees those two things, what it feels like now and what it could feel like, well, I know I've hit that point where money doesn't matter anymore. So my next question, I'm going to go negative, and I'm going to say, you know what, you told me about all these struggles that you've been through, but you're handling it really well. You look like you're just fine. Basically, I'm going to tell her, you're doing okay. I haven't got her to really admit true pain, right? She keeps going back to money. So I'm going to say, you told me all about these struggles, but you're doing good. You're smiling, you're laughing, you are perfectly fine. That's going negative. Then I'm going to let her either confirm that or correct me.
Been working from August to December,
Yeah.
to mid-December before you just got a check, and that's when I'm like, okay, you gotta go.
Well, I gotta say,
I didn't finish the day.
you're handling everything that's been thrown at you much better than I think almost anybody would handle.
I just looked at this and you're live.
Yeah.
You gotta keep going. I have 3 daughters and a granddaughter that need me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's the hardest thing thing I ever had to do was tell my daughter to and mental out of that, you know, it's very good. It's all good.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just happy to be alive. And,
whoever you sell to, the big question you're going to have to ask yourself is, you know, in 30 days from now, when I wake up, whatever the offer is, if I wake up in that duplex or over by, you know, professional answering service, and I wake up and I open my eyes in the morning and I don't have that 401k loan, you know, staring back at me, is it worth taking 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever that number happens to be?
that's what I'm sitting here thinking.
That's the real question at the end of the day.
That's sanity.
When you say insanity, what do you mean?
Okay, so we're checking. I'm reframing her now. So it's not about the money. You know, whoever makes an offer on your house, whoever buys your house, I want to get in that picture-perfect scenario. Whatever that number happens to be, in 30 days from now, if you're sitting, you know, at that place you told me about, the duplex over by your work, professional answering service, if you're sitting there, you know, what's that feel like? The question you really have to ask yourself is selling this place, is doing a deal, is that worth feeling what that would feel like, having this pain off your back and being in that scenario? So I'm trying to reframe her at this point. That's the question she needs to ask. That's the real question. It's not about the money. So that's the question I use to test to see, is she thinking about this differently yet? And then she said, yeah, I wouldn't have to deal with this insanity anymore. So at that point, I picked that up and said, insanity? What do you mean by insanity? I wanted to expand on that and go to a painful place again.
I can handle the daily so that I don't have to worry each one less.
It seems like you're handling it like a champ, though. I mean, like it's all smiles, and I'm sitting here thinking.
After a certain point of things that
So that's where the change took place, right there. So the change, we try to reframe, whoever you sell to, the big question you have to ask yourself is, when you're sitting in your new place, how's that feeling? Is that worth taking a deal, whatever that number happens to be? And then I push back again by going negative and saying, but you know what? Or she said, well, yeah, I could get the insanity off my back. And I said, insanity? Well, you know, what does insanity mean? And she goes, you know, the worry, the stress, the frustration about the money and this and that and this and that. And then I again, go negative. But you're handling it like a champ. You're all smiles, happy as can be, perfectly fine. And this is where the tears started, right? I had to go negative over and over again. This is where things get emotional. She loses it for a second here. But the reality of the situation is now staring her in the face. She's now feeling that pain for the first time. We took her down there and made her live in that emotion over and over again until she realized this is what this property is doing to me and making me feel. So now I know we're almost there. She says, you laugh so you don't cry. And at this point, there's tears coming down her face. It's not our intent to make people cry, but it is our intent to make people face what their actual situation is. So finally, after repeated attempts at impact and picture perfect questions and constantly pushing back saying, but no, you're okay. No, you're doing just fine. This isn't a big deal. You could stay here 2 or 3 more years, couldn't you? Well, it's not a big deal. You're okay. Finally, after that scenario and going negative, 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 I can't do anything for you. You can stay here. Finally, it breaks, and she realizes, I don't want to feel this anymore. I made her live in that moment until she realizes this is what the property is doing to me.
You're thinking about all this stuff you've been through, and
or the other one is, well, you have to do something business. I said, I already did.
Yeah.
Once he stole from my daughter, I did. You know, it's like, I'm sorry, but he turned out to be, you know, you all knew what he was, but I didn't. And we thought he had changed, and he hadn't.
So now she's really opening up, really sharing. She goes on about 3 more minutes talking about really what she's going through, what it's like staying there, more about the bills and the worry and the stress. So I want to go back and now again try to paint a perfect picture scenario, right? We're not getting there yet. So I'm gonna attempt it again. So now we got real emotion. She's face to face with it. So now I'm gonna again try, well, what would it look like if you didn't have to worry about all this stuff?
Yeah, so.
Well, if you want, I can leave this with you. I can write it up at 40K, If you decide to sign it, you decide to sign it. If not, that's fine too. But I'm happy to write up an offer and leave it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like I think that.
So before I got to that picture perfect question, I'm testing my 40 again. So, hey, I'd be happy to write an offer for 40 and just leave it here for you. I never do leave an offer, but I'm testing it. I'm seeing how she responds. And she's like, yeah, you know, that would be okay. You can leave an offer here. So now I'm going to go back. Now I know 40's in the realm, and I'm going to say, pay me that picture.
This is the last day of the month, isn't it? Tomorrow's New Year's. I didn't even realize that until right now.
I did this morning whenever his stuff went out the door. I was going out the door.
Wow.
I was so happy his stuff was going out. His dresser's still here, but other than that, it's like, okay, you can come back to your fate and your dresser because you can't put them in the car. But
So paint me the picture of the perfect 2017 for you. So you've been through all this in 2016. Paint me a picture of.
be in my little apartment or duplex, and I'd like a duplex right in the garage so that I didn't have to scrape ice on the car.
Oh
And
yeah.
I like to have something to cover the car and take care of the car because it's
Yeah.
and so that's the only reason I really want to duplex was for the garage. And
Well, anything really that just covers it up from the elements,
right,
you know.
right, the element, yeah. So that was my thing is I just want to, I just want to be in my own little place in my little cozy chair and with my stuff and my little amount of stuff. I have stuff in storage because when the kids move in, I have curio cabinets and collections that I didn't want the baby to break.
So now I know I'm getting there. High impact pain, right? There's a little breakdown. I know she's face to face with the pain. Picture perfect. Now she's going into detail. So I've got curio cabinets, all these figurines in storage. I'll take those out. I'll have my little cozy place, have my stuff, not a lot of stuff, but my stuff. And now I see that she's envisioning it. Now I'm seeing that she's getting there, right? I kept testing money all the way throughout. She seemed kind of open to 40. So went picture perfect again. Now she's giving me vivid detail of what life looks like.
You know,
Yeah.
or his kids to break or whatever. So at different times, I don't have very much in storage. So it's like I can sell off what I don't need, keep a trimble bed for my grandbaby. And I was like, I already have it all thought through.
So she goes on, she paints this picture perfect scenario. The next 3 minutes, she tells me about even after that, I'd like to get a little piece of land, 5 or 10 acres. My nephew can design a little small mini house or cabin for me. So I'm feeling like, okay, I'm almost there. She was in high pain. Then I brought her right to, well, what's the opposite look like? She's explaining it to me in great detail. I'm going to go on just a little bit further, 54 minutes into the call, and I'm going to see if she's reframed now. I'm going to check to see if she's thinking about all this differently. I'm going to ask her, you know, whatever you do, it sounds like you're moving towards a simplified life. I'm going to see what she says. I'm going to see if she's really looking at this decision differently now.
It took me 5 years for 2006 to 2011 to get this.
Yeah.
I was divorced on this day in 2011.
Really?
I got it the day before.
The day before New Year's.
And it's just like the fiance moved it, the ex-fiance moved it. It's like,
Well, whatever you do, it sounds like you're moving towards a simplified life. You know,
that's
it's
exactly what I
get a lot of the crud out.
I want that 401k because when I retire, I feel I have life insurance for the kids.
Yeah.
So I know she's kind of reframed now because I said, you know, it just sounds like you're moving. Whatever you do, you're moving towards a simplified life. And she started to say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. And she goes right back into painting that perfect picture. She's telling me what life would look like. I know I'm about there.
And the 401k is the key to me as soon as I'm done going to buy a little piece of land
Yeah.
and getting my little house built.
Yeah.
My nephew signed getting comfortable with
Yeah.
plans. And it's going to be I already know exactly, done my research on what I want. And it's very simple. And
Yeah.
it's a simple life. And that's what I need and want. I love the woods. I backpack.
Do you hear the words she's using? It's what I need. It's what I want. She got emotional one way, then the other emotional extreme. She now sees exactly where she is, how terrible that feels, and now she has painted for the last 15 minutes the picture of where she wants to go. We're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And now with vivid detail, backpacking in Arkansas. I mean, we are talking about all kinds of stuff. She wants to move to Jasper County. I mean, she's just getting deeper and deeper about how life could be if she just get this house off of her back, right? And everything that goes with it. So at this point, 55 minutes into the call, she goes on for about 5 more minutes, and at 59 minutes and 27 seconds, this is when I start to go for the close. Now remember, yes is good, no's okay too. I feel like she's to an emotional point at this point where she's ready to go, right? She's cried. She has talked for 15 minutes about where she wants to go. I kept testing the reframing. So it just sounds like you want a simplified life. Absolutely, that's exactly what I want. I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of the stress. All emotional words. So I know we're about there. So now I'm going to go for the close.
Okay.
So,
Fast forward it to 59 minutes.
For us to commit at 40, and again, contingent on him giving his okay,
Right.
giving his blessing on it. If we can, that 40,000 due at closing is what we pay you. Now, the title company would pay off the house and give you whatever the balance
Right.
was. We take care of every other cost there. So that's my best offer. If you're not,
I would have a month to move.
you decide whenever you move.
Okay.
So we would. This just gives us permission to kind of start looking to move your house, do the due diligence we need to see if we can even do it. So I'd love to guarantee we can move it at 40.
Right.
We would probably need about 2 weeks to probably contact some more people, dial in what our cost would actually be on this house.
Okay.
If that's something you want to do, fine. If not, no sweat.
So that's the big hairy close. And I'm setting myself up for a renegotiation as well. I never want to. I'm going negative with her in a sense too. Yeah, maybe 40. I know I can do 40, but I'm telling her, hey, maybe 40. I can't even guarantee that. You're leaving this in our hands. We'll give you the best we can. It's I'm going for 40, but if my partner looks at it and there's something we didn't see or it's going to cost more, we might have to, take our price down. So I'm leaving myself that room. I'm setting clear expectations that it could wiggle. Now we're going to go ahead and buy this one at 40, but that's where I went. And then I just simply ended it with, if that's something you want to do, fine. If not, no sweat. And then her next words are,
I want to go ahead and sign.
Okay.
I want to go ahead. I need, like I said, I'm ready to move on.
Well, we'll put our best foot forward and try to move it there. I'll get you. You'll be contacted by Angel Bradley from our office. She handles the contracts and all that stuff, so she's your go-to person. I'll call Jeff after I leave here and kind of let him know what we talked about and where we're at. We'll get working on it immediately. And if we can't do it, we'll just let you know. Hey.
so that was it. She said, I want to go ahead and sign. She literally said, it will solve my issues, right? I now know at this point, she had gone from thinking about money at all to all emotion, all pain. So high pain, high emotional pain, over and over again. Where are you at? Well, I owe some money. I need, 50, 60 out of it. Well, what would the alternative look like? I just move and not have those bills. Okay, we're not there yet. Go through it again. So tell me more about pain, pain, pain. A little deeper the next time, a little deeper. Well, what's the opposite look like? Well, what would it look like if you got your place over by work? Gets a little bit deeper. I keep throwing money out there. Well, if I could find you 50, would that even be worth considering? And if it's not, don't worry about it. No sweat. No, I can't do it. Okay, we're not there yet. Again, so what's this mean to you? I can't get her to that point, so I go really negative. Whatever you're doing, you can keep doing it because you're just fine. In fact, I'm surprised you're handling it so well. Everything you've told me about, you're handling it like a champ. You're all smiles, all giggles, having a good time. I just laugh. Sometimes you have to laugh so you don't cry. And then the crying starts. And then she's finally face to face with that property he's doing to her. She goes on more and more about pain, pain, pain. And then again, picture perfect scenario. What's it look like? Tell me about that. I literally say, paint me the picture of the perfect 2017. And now she goes into great detail about future plans, where she would live, what she would do, what would be inside that house. And at this point, I know she's basically reframed. She's come face to face with the pain. She knows exactly what she wants, and I made her vividly explain it so she knows what that feels like. And then after all that emotion, I know she's there, and it's simply, hey, I can probably do 40. I can't even guarantee that. But, you know, if you want to sign, that's fine. If not, no sweat. And she says, I'm ready to sign. This will solve my issues. I'm ready to get this behind me. So what I can do, there's a lot you didn't hear during that call, a lot when she goes on and on about pain. You didn't hear when we covered why not sell it, why not rent it, why not sell it with a realtor, and I helped her overcome all the possible objections we would see at the end and have her disqualify them. Well, I could do that. No, I can't do that, just through questions. So there's a lot we missed during that call, a ton we missed during that call. So I'm happy to give you guys a recording so you can hear the whole thing and how it plays out. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea how we take money and we throw money out by concentrating on emotion. Again, what's it feel like now? What's this house doing to you? What's the impact? What's the picture perfect scenario? Over and over again until I start to hear words like, I can't take the stress anymore. I don't want to think about this. It's too hard. And then picture perfect scenario. Here's exactly what it would look like. So I'll give you the whole recording, but does that kind of help show how you get a prospect to expect 75, get them down to 59, get them down to 50, and then get them to the point where they say, I want to sign right now. I'm ready to put this behind me. Where are we at, guys? I know it was a chopped call, so it wasn't smooth all the way through, but did you get it? Do you kind of see when I say it's all about the emotion? Once you get to a certain pain level, money doesn't matter. Does that make sense? So I knew I had a long way to go, and I just kept hammering away over and over again until we got there. So guys, I'll get you the recording so you can listen to it all the way through. It'll be a lot smoother and make more sense. You'll see the other parts of the process we skipped, which was the investment and the other pieces, the decision-making process. But that's how you take someone who is stuck on a price, no, I can't even go below 50, that's not going to get me to where I want to go, to, listen, I want this behind me, I want to sign now. All right, guys, so, and Jill says, almost feels cruel. I know it can feel like that sometimes, but this is for the first time in her life. We got her to face, what is this property doing to you? And are you willing to take that anymore? And let's talk about the alternative. Are you ready to do a deal with me to get away from this feeling and get to where you want to go? That's the real question. Whatever the deal is, whatever the price is it worth going from where you are today to where you want to be? That's the real question. And that's where we take every sales call to. And when you get there and you do it right, they cross that bridge on their own. They literally say, that's going to solve my issues. I want to sign right now. Let's do this thing. All right, guys, I got to run. We're 3 minutes past. I'm 3 minutes late for my next call. I'll get you the call recording. Hope everyone was able to take something out of this. I'm sorry it was so segmented and the audio was bad, but we'll talk again soon.